Have you ever felt like you're living in a waiting room? Waiting room for life? You show up every day, you sit patiently, flipping through the same old magazines of doubt and routine, waiting for your name to be called. You are waiting for something, a sign, a breakthrough, promotion, healing, love, a promise you heard in a moment of inspiration or read in a sacred book, a whispered promise of peace, of prosperity, of a future designed by a benevolent hand. Into weeks, the weeks into years, and your stubborn reality seems to remain unchanged. You look around and see others being called, their lives transforming, and you ask yourself, in a silent whisper of despair, is this promise really for me? Has God forgotten about me? And if the promise is real, why does it feel so distant, so unattainable? What if I told you that you are not in a waiting room, but in a control room? And what if the key to the door of your new reality is not in the hands of some external power, but within you, waiting to be turned? What if I told you that God's promise for you today is not something you need to passively wait for, but something you must actively claim? Keyword is not wait, it is activate. And what if the missing link, the bridge between the divine promise and your material reality, is not resigned patience, but a fierce faith, a directed faith, a faith that Napoleon Hill would describe as scientific. Hill, after spending more than 20 years immersed in the lives of the men who built modern America, discovered an inescapable fact. All of them, without exception, operated on the basis of an unshakable faith. A faith that was as tangible as the steel in their factories. A faith that not only believed in a positive outcome, but that knew with a visceral certainty how to tune its mind to receive the ideas, the people, and the circumstances that would make that outcome inevitable. Today, we are going to do something bold. We are going to unite the oldest divine promise with the most practical science of the mind ever discovered. We are going to discover exactly what God's promise is for you today. More importantly, we are going to unveil the mental operating manual to bring it from the unseen realm of the spirit to the visible and tangible realm of your daily experience. In the Bible, in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11, we find one of the clearest and most powerful promises ever made to humanity. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Let's dissect this statement. This is not a suggestion. It is not a possibility. It is a declaration of intent from the very source of creation. The original Hebrew word for prosper is shalom, which means much more than just peace. It means wholeness, well-being, health, security, and yes, prosperity in all areas of life. Therefore, the divine promise is of a complete life. Hope, prosperity, and a great future are already yours by spiritual birthright. So why the gap? Why does our reality often reflect the opposite of this? Napoleon Hill would give us the answer with cutting clarity. The universe, or God, does not give us what we want. It gives us a reflection of who we are. It does not respond to our wishes. It responds to our mindset. The promise is the omnipresent electricity in the wall of every room in your life. Your mind, with its beliefs and focuses, is the switch. Most of us live in the dark, blaming the darkness, without ever realizing that the power to turn on the light is in our own hands. Let's learn, step by step, how to flip that switch. The first stage in activating the divine promise is an alchemical process, transforming passive faith into a burning desire. Passive faith is common, comfortable, and completely ineffective. It's the faith that says, I believe God is good and has a good plan for me. One day, things will get better. It is a waiting faith, active faith. The faith that Napoleon Hill identified as the starting point of all great fortunes is a force of nature. It says, I have a burning, all-consuming, obsessive desire to co-create this good plan now. I refuse to live below the potential that God has given me. You must desire the promised prosperity, peace, and success with the same intensity that a drowning man desperately desires a single gasp of air. It cannot be a secondary wish. It has to be your magnificent obsession. It is this burning desire that generates the necessary fervor to overcome obstacles. It is your part in the divine agreement. It is your energy moving towards the promise with full force. Hill called this a definite chief aim, and when that purpose is aligned with the divine purpose, you become a force of nature. So, stop and ask yourself with brutal honesty, how intensely do I desire the fulfillment of the promise of prosperity in my life? Is it a nice to have, or is it a I must have and I will have? The intensity of your desire determines the speed of the manifestation. With the engine of burning desire turned on, the second stage is to direct that energy. And we do this by using prayer in the way that Napoleon Hill used autosuggestion. Most of us have learned to pray in a pleading manner. God, please give me this. Please help me with that. This prayer comes from a place of lack, of want. It actually reinforces the belief that you do not have what you are asking for. The prayer that activates the promise is radically different. It is a prayer of affirmation and gratitude. The Bible gives us the exact formula in Mark 11:24. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Pay attention to the order. First, you believe that you have already received it. Then, and only then, do you receive it on the physical plane. This is autosuggestion in its purest and most divine form. Instead of praying, God, please give me prosperity, the prayer that moves mountains is, Father, Mother, God. I am immensely grateful for the unlimited abundance and prosperity that are mine by divine right. I feel this prosperity flowing to me and through me now. I feel the security. I feel the freedom. Thank you. You are changing your identity from someone who wants prosperity to someone who is prosperous. You are impressing this new reality upon your subconscious mind, the fertile soil where the seeds of the promise germinate. Your subconscious then begins to work 24/7 to align your thoughts, your perceptions, and your feelings with this new truth. And when your internal vibration changes, the external world has no choice but to reflect that change. You become a living magnet for the circumstances, the people, the resources, and the opportunities that match your new consciousness of prosperity. The third and final stage in bringing the promise to life is inspired action. The Apostle James warns us that faith without works is dead. You can have the most burning desire and the most positive mindset in the world, but if you remain seated on the couch, nothing will happen. Faith is a verb. It requires movement, but not just any movement. It's not about working harder blindly. It's about working smarter. It's guided by inspiration. After aligning your desire and your thoughts with the promise, you must develop a keen sensitivity to the insights, the hunches, and the whispers that infinite intelligence sends you in. Response to your prayer. God operates through ideas. The promise of a great future manifests as a business idea that wakes you up at 3 a.m., the promise of prosperity manifests as an investment opportunity that a friend casually mentions, or a new professional connection that appears out of nowhere. Faith that does not act on these inspirations is a faith that leaves the divine promise at the door, without inviting it in to dine. It's like asking for food and then refusing to answer the door when the delivery arrives. Napoleon Hill called the ability to receive these ideas the sixth sense. It is your direct line to the wisdom of the universe. It is the radio of your mind tuned to the divine frequency. When the idea comes, when the opportunity arises, you must act. Act with courage, with decision, even if you don't see the whole path ahead of you. Trust that as you take the first step into the darkness, the light for the next step will be illuminated. This action is the physical manifestation of your faith. It is the final and crucial step that grounds the spiritual promise in your material reality. So, let's recap the formula of manifestation. The bridge between heaven and earth. First, burning desire. You must want the promise with all your soul. Second, autosuggestion in prayer. You must align your mind with the reality of the promise, feeling it is already fulfilled. Third, inspired action. You must act on the ideas and opportunities that your new mindset attracts. Desire, belief, and action. It is the trinity of co-creative power. God's promise for you today is real. It is a guarantee. It is a fact in the realm of the spirit. It is one of a prosperous future, of a purposeful life, of a peace that surpasses all understanding. But it is not a passive letter waiting to be read. It is a divine seed, powerful and full of potential. It must be planted in the fertile soil of a burning desire, watered daily with the waters of affirmative faith and gratitude, and finally, activated by the light of inspired action. The promise is from God. The activation is yours. This is the fundamental truth that unites timeless faith, the modern science of success. If you are ready to stop being a spectator in life's waiting room and become an active co-creator in the control center of your destiny, then take the first step now. Join this community of reality builders. Like this video as a symbolic act of your decision, and subscribe to Temple of the Mind to continue receiving the tools and blueprints to build your greatest life. And as your first act of claiming, comment below. What is the specific promise of God, be it of prosperity, health, peace, or purpose, that you will begin to activate and CLAM in your life starting today? Your new life, the promised life, does not begin tomorrow. It begins with your decision now.